So how were the cupcakes?
Cupcakes were good. They were funfetti cupcakes, so top notch.
Whose idea was that?
We actually just saw a commercial while we were sitting there watching TV for the funfetti. It just looked good, so we went to Target and got the squash.
There you go, man.
Just kind of as you, I know you talked about it a little bit Thursday night, but as you were able to review your performance, how do you feel you kind of graded out?
Yeah, there was a lot of room for improvement. I think if you just look at the stat line, I got a lot of text saying, "Hey, good game, you threw for a lot of yards, touchdowns, whatever." But when you really look at it, I could have played much better, and I have to play much better to win some games.
Coach DeBoard said yesterday there was specifically like maybe 3 to 5 plays. Were those just the plays that there were turnovers on, or were there more plays specifically that he wanted to hone in on that you made a mistake on or two?
Yeah, well, of course, the 2 turnovers, or 3 really with the fumble, were part of that. And then, there's a couple plays that just stick out to me from the game that kind of are hard to get off your mind. One was a pass that I short hopped to Simi into the boundary. One was the ball I was trying to throw out of bounds while I was getting sacked that was nearly intercepted also. So just, that's probably 5 right there. But, there's probably more than that. If you really sit down and break down the film, if you're critical of yourself, and our coaches, they demand a lot out of us. So, just got to learn from it.
Well, watching the film, when you break it down and you see Simi make that one-handed catch to get that first drive going, what does having Simi out there bring?
I think exactly what you said. It brings the big play, the physicality that comes along with just being that big. He's a matchup issue. I've probably heard it 1,000 times, but he really is someone that big and that athletic. You can't really leave him on an island, which sometimes you can get away with smaller receivers.
You went to him 3 straight times to get that touchdown.
Yeah, well, really it was 4 because I completed one to him, and then I had the 2 incompletions, and then the third one was a touchdown. So I figured he'd catch one of them.
Is he becoming one of those guys that, not to get too cliche, you just feel like you give him a chance, he's going to make a play 90% of the time?
Yeah, if I give him a chance, I expect him to come down with the ball. I'm pretty hard on him, and expect a lot out of him, and he's the same with me. He expects a lot from me, so it's a good relationship. We're both extremely competitive, so if I don't put the ball where it needs to be, I'm going to hear about it, and if he drops a ball that is competitive that I feel he should catch, he's going to hear from me. So I think that relationship is necessary, all across the field, just as far as holding your teammates accountable and all that, but he's definitely someone that I'm very comfortable with right now.
Are you guys competitive back in the apartment?
Yeah, we're competitive everywhere. I think most guys on the team are. Any chance we get to compete, we're going to.
What was the best competition? Like a video game or something?
Oh,
Cupcakes.
The video games are intense. Of course, sometimes you're just sitting there hanging out. But Tayseer is our third roommate. Unfortunately for him, because sometimes he gets picked on a little bit, being the younger of the 3. So, we wrestle a lot. We just mess around, have fun.
Have you talked to Nick at all since the injury, and if so, what have you said to him?
Nick Westbrook?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's hard. Just keep your head up. Obviously, that was my last game playing with him. This is my last season, so that's sad. Especially after the season that we had last year. We're looking forward to big things this year, but I just told him keep his head up. Because he's a special kid. He's a special talent.
Can you use Simi as an example? Say, hey,
Simi, Jay Sean.
Yep.
There's a lot of examples. You can use guys all throughout college football, even not just our team. That running back from South Carolina, however many years ago, that's obviously drastic. He had multiple knee injuries, but just that concept of an injury really can't stop you if you put in the work, put in the rehab, and just keep your mental, your mindset the way it needs to be throughout that rehab and that recovery, so that when you are back in full speed, you're ready to go.
Not that you obviously wanted to go through it again, but going through it with Simi, from your perspective, do you think you learn something from that experience that will help you with this time around, not losing Nick?
I think it's a next man up, So I trust all the receivers on the team. Taysier Maxiot's going to have to now step up. He's my third roommate. I have a great relationship with him. But there's a number of guys that are going to have to start making some plays. And they're excited about that, and they're looking forward to it.
One of the things we've consistently heard about Virginia the last couple of days is they try to be confusing pre-snap. They try to move a lot, shift a lot. What kind of challenges does that present for you specifically?
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff. It's just, you got to be on top of it. You can't get tricked into thinking they're going into a one-high defense and then at the snap they roll into a two-high. Getting caught in situations like that, you're gonna pay for that. So just really trust your training, trust your fundamentals, and just be instinctual. Trust your instincts. If something's not right, it's not right.
Is film study especially important when you're going against a team that's multiple and tries to disguise that much?
Yeah, it's extremely important because you want to know everything that they can do. You want to know how they might disguise it, tendencies. Ohio State was a great defense, but they really didn't do a lot to mess with us. Obviously, that's not the case this week. They're going to try and do a lot of things, so we just got to be on top of our game mentally.
Luke Timian's a guy who had a big game against Ohio State. How do you foresee him stepping up in the wake of Westbrook being out in the slot and giving you sort of an extra safety blanket?
Yeah, he's pretty consistent. That was a great first game for him. And I don't think anybody was surprised by that. He's been pretty much that kind of receiver since he's been here, to be quite honest, even though last year he didn't have the big of a role. People still knew that that's kind of what he was capable of. So being, of course, someone that I'm very close with and familiar with, that's one of my favorite guys. So any time, I got to trust my reads and trust the design of the play, but I know that Luke's gonna take care of his end of the deal.
In terms of Luke, he mentioned sort of he might be stepping into sort of that similar role that Mitchell Page maybe played last year in the slot and making plays in that way. How do you see them, sort of the two of them, in that same vein, or seeing him fit that role?
Yeah, I think that slot position is just someone that's got to be smart and consistent, which in that regards those two are extremely similar. But I think Luke's very, very athletic. He's got another gear that I'm not really sure if most people know about yet. Hopefully he'll get to show that off soon. He's a little bit taller also, but they're both real dependable guys, and that's what matters most when it comes down to it.
With losing a key receiver, how much does it help to have a guy like Simi that you can just depend on and go to whenever you need to?
Yeah, it's huge, and I think not just Simi, but our depth at receiver overall is what don't push the panic button quite yet, because we got a lot of guys at the receiver group that are capable of making big time plays. I think Donovan Hale had a great game Thursday night. Luke, obviously, Simi, Taysier had some big catches. Ian, and the younger guys, Tyler Freifogel, Wap. So we'll see.
You named specifically, you think Taysier is going to have to step up big time. What do you think he does really well? What's his skill set like?
Taysier is very fast. That's pretty much the number one thing I think of with Taysier is he's explosive. He's really hardworking too. That's probably my favorite quality about him is I'll come home to the house some nights and he'll be in his room just with his iPad hooked up to his TV studying. He's a student of the game, so I'm excited about him.
Once your running attack gets moving in a better direction, how much easier does that make your life?
Yeah, of course, anytime you can run the football, it opens up the passing game. You want to run the ball to set the pass. So, and I think, a lot was made out of the running game these last few days. A lot of the throws that I had on Thursday night were runs, that they stacked the box. So as opposed to handing the ball off into a 7-man box, I threw a one-on-one ball to Simi. So, there might not be those one-on-one balls this week, so the running backs will get more chances. They only ran for I don't know how many yards, but it wasn't a lot, and that's partially on me also for throwing the ball so many times. I missed some of my run keys. I should have pulled the ball at times when I handed it off, and they got hit in the backfield instead of maybe gaining 5 or 6 yards.
You're talking about like those run pass options when you kind of walk to the line and you're supposed to read and decide what you run.
Yeah.
The TD pass to Simi was one of those, wasn't it?
Yep, the fade.
How encouraging was it to see Ian have the performance he did in the season opener, especially the 2 touchdown catches? I know Coach DeBoer was saying the tight end position was going to be more involved this year, but I guess just, how encouraging was it to see that, and what made him so effective against Ohio State?
He's just a matchup nightmare. He's as big and athletic as he is, so that's what made him so successful. And if he continues to work as hard as he does and come to practice every day with the right mindset, he should have that same success, hopefully. But it's great to see. It's something that you expect all off season. You see him every day in practice. You're like, we're going to expect big things, and to see it happen on that stage against Ohio State was awesome just for him. After the first touchdown he had, I went over to him on the bench and just kind of gave him a hug. I was like, I'm proud of you, man, but you got a lot more coming, so just keep working.
All right, thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.